What's up, guys? Welcome to the Start Today podcast. I'm your host, Chris Cavallini, and today it's just me. I'm going to be reading you a story that I authored. And this story is going to allow you to experience from an outside perspective the path to creating endless amounts of new opportunities to advance your career, earn fat raises, and just basically articulates in a very concise, easy to understand manner the difference between how professionals and amateurs think, act, and operate. All right, so here we go, guys. We're going to jump right into it. Mr. Smith is the owner and CEO of a fitness equipment company who, due to his ability to innovate and stay ahead of the competition, paired with a burning desire to win, has experienced 14% growth over the last 12 months within his business. Due to the company's significant growth, he's had to make some adjustments with staffing his team to best position the company for success. This included creating a new position for a high-performing senior executive, which left the senior executive's job vacant and needing to be filled. There were two managers who were considered for the promotion. One had more experience and had been with the company 3 years longer than the other. He was not the one selected to advance. When hearing he'd been passed up and the promotion was given to the other manager with less experience and tenure, ego bruised and feeling resentful, he decided to ask the CEO why he had made the decision that he did. Instead of answering the question directly, Mr. Smith asked him how many orders were shipped out yesterday. The man then said, "Well, I'm not sure. Let me check." And a few minutes later returned and said 26. Mr. Smith then asked what pieces of equipment had been shipped. After again checking, the manager came back with a piece of paper in hand where he had handwritten each piece of equipment that had been shipped the day prior. He then nervously reported to the CEO that he was just told by a subordinate that they had completely ran out of one of their signature treadmills, a best-selling piece of equipment that he was personally responsible for managing the inventory of. His job description clearly states that inventory must be managed in a manner that allows time for low inventory products to be replenished before their stock had completely run dry. This is an important component of the business because if inventory isn't managed properly, it costs the company profits, leads to customer service issues, and hurts the company's reputation. Mr. Smith asked him directly, "Well, why did we let this happen?" To which the manager responded, "Well, it's not my fault. I told one of the new guys to stay on top of this and to let me know when we needed to reorder inventory. Obviously, he just doesn't care, decided to blow it off, and doesn't get it. Unbelievable." The CEO, now slightly disappointed by the total lack of personal responsibility the manager was demonstrating, then asked, "Well, did you explain to the new guy that our policy on reordering is when we get down to the last 20 units, or did you just assume that part went without saying? Is it conceivable to believe that this new team member thought that he needed to let you know to reorder once our inventory had been completely depleted? Which, correct me if I'm wrong, is exactly what he did?" After a few more seconds of listening to the manager fumble his words, Mr. Smith finally asked, "What were our sales numbers from yesterday's orders?" Again, leaving the room to check, he returned shortly with the answer of $13,440. This line of questioning went on for a bit with similar answers, at which time Mr. Smith asked the man to go wait in the next room, leaving the door slightly open so he could still hear. Mr. Smith then called to the manager who had been promoted and asked how many orders had been shipped out the day prior. The manager then replied, "Sir, a comprehensive report was actually sent to your email last night after business hours by one of my junior guys. I had him blind copy me to ensure it was done and done properly. But I clearly dropped the ball here. I understand how busy you are running the company, and I should have communicated that to you to make you aware. It won't happen again, sir." But in answer to your question, as of 6 p.m. last night, 26 orders had been shipped out. A separate Excel spreadsheet was included with the report, which also listed the day's sales, which were $13,440, of which $8,150 were profit. You'll also find all the pieces of equipment that were ordered sorted from least to expensive to least expensive to highest in a separate attachment. And sir, actually, if we're getting technical, we also had another 4 orders come in after working hours, but before midnight. So I had another one of my junior guys who I've been training and delegating more responsibilities to update the spreadsheet to include those numbers as well. He came in this morning 90 minutes before his scheduled shift to work on sourcing a new vendor for our signature treadmill. When I was making my rounds 3 nights ago, out of habit, I took a peek at some of our best-selling items to make sure we were good to go. I noticed we were down to only 2, which before I address it with the manager responsible for inventory, I wanted to make sure that I found a solution to where we didn't disappoint any of our customers or set ourselves up for failure again. Mr. Smith then interjected, "Well, I certainly appreciate you taking the initiative here to solve that problem. But it's really not your job to do someone else's, especially when they failed to do their job in the first place. Sir, respectfully, it is my job. My job title may not have that listed, but it's my responsibility to accomplish our mission and win at all costs." And obviously I fell short because I can't do either if I don't have the product and inventory to get it done. It's my fault for not doing a better job keeping a pulse on things that are so important. I've organized a formal training on Friday to make sure everyone understands our standard operating procedures for reordering. And I also came up with some procedural improvements that will add accountability to where this doesn't happen again. And honestly, some good has actually come out of this. I hadn't had a chance to brief you because I just literally got off the phone with the new manufacturer about 45 minutes ago. But let me start by saying I'm super proud of my 2 junior guys for the way they've responded and stepped up once I communicated to them the situation. They're both highly motivated and just get it when it comes to acting in accordance with our core values here. Both have been coming in early and staying late the last couple of days after everything else was done for the day, helping me try and source an alternative manufacturer for our treadmill with a faster turnaround time since we were dangerously low and our current vendor requires a 12-day lead time. I won't bore you with the details, sir, but making a long story short, they assured me they can cut our current lead time in half, and after asking if I could personally speak with the executive vice president of the company, who I figured would be the ultimate decision maker, we did some negotiating and I educated him a little bit about our company, our mission, and our impressive growth the last 3 years. And he also agreed to a purchasing agreement that would lower our costs by 15%, which according to our accounting department that I ran the numbers by, with the number of units we sell every month, we'll now be in a position to add $500,000 annual to the bottom line off this one product alone. Wow, the CEO said. That's incredible. You did all that over the last few days? No, sir, I didn't. To be honest, my team did most of the heavy lifting. I told them what we needed to get done and let them do their thing. I just went in after the fact and put the cherry on top. My guys definitely deserve the credit for this. Well, great work, the CEO said. Let's make sure to communicate this to all the appropriate supervisors so everyone is on the same page. Understood, sir, the executive said. 3 of the 4 supervisors I got together right before I came in here. The inventory manager, I was told, had actually come talk with you. So after this, I'll make sure to go find him and brief him accordingly. Good, the CEO said. Well, since we won't be able to honor our advertised shipping turnaround time with the treadmills for the next 6 to 8 days, let's make sure we have our customer service team make personal calls to anyone who orders our inventory while it's out and let them know there'll be a slight delay due to us not being better prepared. And to compensate them for the inconvenience, let's go ahead and give them a $25 gift card toward any future purchases. Well, that's a great idea, sir, and it's right in accordance with one of our core values, which is to go above and beyond in every situation. But actually, it won't be necessary. See, I explained the dilemma we were currently facing to the executive vice president and communicated the urgency of the matter. To show us that we were, in fact, making the right decision by partnering with their company, he agreed to rearrange some priorities on his end so they would be able to expedite the production process of a small order that will be able to hold us over to where our customers will remain unaffected. Well, that's great, said the CEO. When will we have them? Well, this is him here, sir. If you don't mind, I could check my phone. He just texted tracking information. He said, we're guaranteed delivery by noon tomorrow. So no worries, sir. Everything is handled and on track. But before I go, is there anything else that I can help you with or take off your plate? Well, I'm good for now, the CEO told this new executive. But what you just told me, I'm impressed. Thank you for making this happen. It's my pleasure, sir. But honestly, I'm the one who should be thanking you, not just for the opportunity you've given me, which of course I'm very grateful for, but for everything you've taught our team, whether directly or by the example you set. Seeing how you and the other leaders in our company carry yourselves, whether how you dress, speak, communicate, and even the way you always push us to improve no matter how well things are going, it's really helped me clearly identify a better way of doing things. You taught me the importance of holding others accountable and avoiding complacency, which, to be honest, I used to struggle with, and it used to creep up on me in the past. By observing you, I also realized that being uncomfortable isn't a bad thing. It's actually a prerequisite of a meaningful life. Some of the best lessons that you taught me came directly after you had gotten in my ass back when I was new at our company, working in the warehouse and not yet in a management position. You recognized I was performing below my potential and cared enough to let me know because you saw something in me that I clearly at the time didn't see in myself. That really opened my eyes and gave me the confidence to strive to be something more. So again, sir, thank you. Well, you're welcome, the CEO said. But as leaders, that's exactly what we're supposed to do. After the new executive left the office, the CEO called back in the inventory manager who, of course, had heard the entire conversation from the next room. The inventory manager said he completely understands now why the other man had been promoted instead of himself. So guys, this story, I think, puts into very clear, simple terms of what it means to bring real value to a company. Okay, it exemplifies the mentality, initiative, and level of personal responsibility that is required to separate you from the rest of the pack. Okay, and separating yourself from the pack, that's how you're going to create new, exciting, and better opportunities that will enhance your career. Okay, it's going to help you elevate your income, and it will also earn the respect of senior leaders, which is a very important component and objective that so many people fail to strive for. Okay, because when you earn the respect of senior leaders, they're then going to be far more likely to offer you mentorship, guidance, and basically groom you for the next level. If you want to be successful, right? Like whether it's the CEO or other high-level executives, at your organization, these are the type of elite circles that you're going to want to roll in. But you also have to be mindful of the fact that elite individuals, they don't just want any amateur who is operating from a significantly lower level of consciousness around them. All right, that's not how it works. It's not personal. But at the end of the day, winners value their time and do a lot to protect their energy because they understand how much of an impact your circle basically has on your quality of life and mindset. So to get in these kind of circles, you're absolutely going to have to earn it. All right. So how do you do that? What are some of the qualities and characteristics found in the moral of the story that will help you earn your seat at the winners tables? All right. I'm going to share 4 of them right now with you guys. And look, they're listed in no particular order of importance. So basically, all of them are important. Do all of them, do them well, and take notes. All right. The first thing, you got to take initiative. All right. You got to be aggressive towards your mission and do everything in your power to make your boss's life easier. Don't wait to be told what to do. Be proactive, create opportunities by looking for things that can be improved upon. Okay. Find things that could be better. If something is good, figure out a way to make it great. All right. Figure out a way to do it and then do the work to improve on it. And a thing that I think a lot of people fail to not really factor in, when it comes to their business and, trying to get themselves promoted or earn raises or just be viewed upon as someone who, can be trusted and given better opportunities is you should actually care enough and give a shit about your company to where you're always on offense and getting out ahead of problems before they actually happen. Okay. There's only so much value in being someone who solves problems that pop up. But if you can develop the mindset, the mentality to identify problems prior to them even happening, I mean, that right there just puts you in a whole other category. All right. You have to be prepared. You have to be thorough, and you always need to follow up. Okay. Attention to detail is a critical component of success, and you can't expect to do the minimum of what's required and feel that you're deserving of anything more than the minimum in return. All right. Mediocrity, which is essentially doing the bare minimum, it's just that. It's mediocre. It's average, less than even. So you're going to want to give a max effort in all that you do every time, like regardless of how you're feeling. Okay. Your standards are not influenced by, what's going on in your personal life, how you're feeling that day. It doesn't matter how you feel. Okay. You do your best. All right. And it starts with things like how you dress, keeping your workspace meticulously neat and organized, and just going above and beyond with like every task that you're given. All right. Depending on where you're at, that could come in various forms. It could come in it could look like, cleaning the bathrooms to just utter perfection to where people would actually feel comfortable feasting on a dinner, a filet mignon dinner, like off of the floor that you had just cleaned. Okay. That's the type of attention to detail that you're going to want to have with your work, where people just like know that, if they see a job that's done and there's a handful of people that are responsible for something, your work always stands out above the rest. All right. So, if you're in a leadership position or management role, taking an initiative to improve on an existing process, okay, within the organization that will ultimately result in an improvement of efficiency, mitigate risk, lower overhead, and possibly and perhaps save the company millions of dollars in the future. All right, the level of care that you guys really tune in and listen to this one, because this one's important. The level of care that you allocate to your work and the manner of which you conduct yourself in is ultimately the determining factor of whether you're going to be seen as worthy of investment by your superiors and leaders. Okay. And, if you want to get mentored, like, you have to demonstrate that you're somebody who's worth that investment in time and energy. And let's move on to the next thing. Communication. Communication is important. Okay. You have to communicate early and often. There's no such thing as over communication. Okay. You have to be willing to communicate up and down the chain of command. And when needed, ask the tough questions and have those uncomfortable conversations. If you don't understand what's required of you, like, ask for clarification, right? If somebody gives you some instructions, repeat it back to them to make sure you didn't miss anything. If you're giving somebody instructions, have that person repeat it back to you to ensure everybody's on the same page, right? Don't assume that you understand what you're being asked to do, or that someone else understands what you're asking them to do. It's better to ask some questions than to proceed with an incorrect assumption that ultimately results in a huge clusterfuck. All right. If you see someone who's not doing the right thing, underperforming, or just not meeting standards, handle it. All right. That's it. Don't look the other way. Don't pretend like the situation is going to correct itself. Okay. Handle it. Because when a standard isn't met and immediately addressed, well, guess what? You've just created a new standard. Okay. Now this one, most people like stay stagnant in their careers due to their unwillingness to have any form of uncomfortable conversations or to hold other people accountable. But I really need you guys to kind of look at this from a different perspective and think about it like this. Let's say that you owned a company, okay? Would you feel comfortable giving somebody a promotion, a raise, or a better opportunity with higher levels of responsibility if they were someone who allowed other people who you also pay to cut corners, do a half-assed job, and just blatantly ignored situations that will ultimately hurt and cost the company, you, lots of money? Okay? Like, would you be in any rush or have any level of motivation to reward people who, because they're just, too afraid or unwilling to do the right thing in a situation, which could come in the form of just having a simple conversation, not only cost you, a gratuitous amount of money, but also resources, credibility, and hurt your reputation, all because they were too afraid to have a conversation that, if it was had, it would actually help the underperforming individual as well as the company. Okay. If you're someone who operates like this, you have to realize that people notice because ultimately, if those conversations aren't had and a problem doesn't get solved, somebody else above you has to come down from their level and basically clean up your mess. And that sends just a very direct message to the higher ups that you don't really give a shit about the company. Okay. Which, this is the reality, whether you view it as that or not. That's the reality of a situation that, people will conveniently pretend isn't actually the case. All right, next thing, own your mistakes. Don't make excuses. Under no circumstances do you blame other people or anything under any circumstances. Okay, period. There's not a whole lot to add to that. Ownership and integrity is key to developing and building solid relationships. If you miss a target or, don't produce an acceptable result for any reason, don't make excuses. Okay, don't try to explain your way out of it. Own it. All right, be a pro. Admit you made a mistake. Communicate to anyone who is negatively impacted to let them know, hey, I really give a shit. I'm going to learn from this. And then most importantly, you go and you fucking fix it. Okay. And make sure that you change as a result of this so it doesn't happen again. So if that means you have to create some sort of process or give some sort of training, give other people the heads up, you want to take a higher level of initiative to where it doesn't just happen again with you, but it doesn't happen again, period, with anybody else. Actions are always going to go a hell of a lot further than words. All right. And the last thing, guys, and again, I talked at the beginning of this, maybe, these bullets are in no order of importance, but if there had to be only one, this would be it. You play to win, right? You play to win. It's that simple. All right. Play to fucking win. You show up, you do the work, you don't complain, you don't create drama, you just do the work and you do it harder, more consistently, more efficiently, and better than anyone else. All right. For anyone out there who hears that and would say something along the lines of winning isn't everything, believe it or not, I don't disagree, because it's second to breathing. But other than that, realize, okay, really just relish in the fact, stew in it, bathe in it, take it all in, because you weren't put on this planet to lose. You were not put on this fucking planet to lose. Okay. Losing is something that people learn to do along the journey. All right. We weren't put on this planet to lose, to struggle, to barely scrape by. Okay. So it is of extreme paramount levels of importance that winning is always on the forefront of your brain and the ultimate objective related to anything you do, whether it be in business or in life. Guys, this is one of those messages that perhaps you might want to run it back and listen to a few times, because this information, if applied, it will change everything. All right, those who do and take action, when your time comes and you're introduced to the winner's circle, I'll be saving you a seat at my table. And everyone else who doesn't and just continues to basically resist the fact that there's a game being played, whether you like it or not, there's a game being played. Okay. And, whether it's with the people around you or against yourself, your former weaker, shittier self, you play to win or you don't. But if you don't, please, you have to understand that you're going to need to be prepared to continue the vicious cycle of chronic financial stress, soul-crushing anxiety, and constantly getting your teeth kicked down your fucking throat as you fight with every ounce of energy that you have left to keep your head slightly above water in the brutal, unforgiving sea of mediocrity. And with all that being said, it would mean so much to me if you could do just one simple thing. Start today. Move outside and let the man go